The hardest working MFer in West Virginia media is back with a banger for you today. You're going to meet brand new West Virginia offensive lineman and Tennessee transfer, Ayden Bussell.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia for the third time today. Appreciate y'all for joining in. Going to be brought to you by Monarch Money, guys. Don't forget, Monarch Money is the best way to go when it comes to taking control of your finances. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Without further ado, guys, we don't want to make you wait any longer than you have to for this one. I'm excited for this. Announcing a commitment not even a half hour, 45 minutes ago. Tennessee offensive line transfer and brand new West Virginia Mountaineer, Ayden Bussell, man. What is up, bro?
How you doing? I'm doing well.
Good, man. So I'm sure it's probably been a whirlwind for you. You were on a visit. Was it Thursday?
Yes, sir. Thursday morning came in.
Thursday morning you came in. So you go in the transfer portal on, what was that day again?
It was Monday right after Easter.
Monday after Easter. So, you know, what went into, I guess we'll start earlier than that. We'll get there. I want to start in high school for you, actually. You were at Mount Juliet, where you were a standout in 6A, which is that the highest division in Tennessee?
It is.
You were all region guy. What was it like playing for the Golden Bears, man? And how did those experiences kind of shape you as a lineman starting out?
Most definitely. It was an awesome experience for me. I really loved my guys and loved my team. Hardworking people, a little bit more out in the country, kind of just a really close-knit group of people. And our coaches and training staff were unbelievable for high school. So, they really shaped me and turned me into a D1 lineman, if you will.
So talk about that a little bit, man. You're playing 6A ball in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee is a pretty good state, but I don't know what it's considered. I don't know if it's quite Ohio or Florida or California, but it's not West Virginia for high school ball either. So what is it like being a high school athlete in Tennessee? Or do they get looked down upon, or is it known as like really great football? Like, what is the vibe there for that?
I mean, it's pretty good football. I mean, there's legitimate contenders for a lot of P4, caliber kids. In my grade, we had a lot of guys that did go P4 and were really good talent. I remember Caleb Herring. He's at Tennessee now, defensive end. He was a high 4-star, almost, I think he might have been a 5-star, I don't know. But we played each other our sophomore year, and I had a bunch of other guys around the state that were high caliber players. I'm not really sure. There was good competition at times, but there was also certain teams who weren't that great. But
yeah,
in high school, through 3 years, I started my sophomore year at left tackle, and through my 3 years, I switched from left tackle, left guard, right tackle, right guard. I had 0 sacks through 3 years starting. Pretty good in the pass game, and then run blocking. I had somewhere between 150, 200 pancakes through my career.
I saw that earlier, man.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
So you had Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Cincinnati. Were those your main contenders? Who did it come down to at the end? Or was it always Tennessee?
I kind of wanted to stay close to my family.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make them travel super far. So it came down to Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Ole Miss. And at the very end of it, Bama came into the picture. And their offensive line coach at the time, Coach Wolford, he transferred from Kentucky to Alabama. And they scouted me and wanted me bad, but I was already committed to Tennessee at that point. So I shut that down.
Awesome, man. Love the loyalty. I mean, not many people can say no to Alabama, right? It's one of those places that they come calling. But I mean, Tennessee's really resurrected its image under Coach Heupel, and They're not the Tennessee of, let's say, 15 years ago, where they're kind of like where Nebraska is now and some other teams that used to be great, and they're trying to live off that. Like Tennessee's had a resurrection, and I know it's nothing about Tennessee, but what was it like? I mean, playing for your hometown state, your hometown college. Knoxville's an absolute powerhouse place to play. I mean, I'm sure you're probably really grateful. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure you're probably really grateful in a lot of plays you got to play there. What was it like?
I mean, definitely, it was a beautiful experience for me. It really turned me into the man that I am now. Had a lot of really good people around me, and the fan base was unbelievable. Just being an in-state kid, and it's kind of always my dream to go to Tennessee and play there. My
Of course.
family, lifelong fans, and it was a great place for me. Honestly, I had a really good time, and the development that I had there was unbelievable as well. I transformed completely as a player and as a person, and I was extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to be there.
So, obviously you chose to move on and you're still a younger player. It seems like that younger players are kind of a casualty of the portal these days, right? It seems like nobody has any patience for younger players. Is that how you felt?
Somewhat. I mean, with Tennessee's football roster situation, my first 2 years I came in, we had multiple fifth and sixth year seniors that were in
Right.
the starting lineup. A lot of experience there, a lot of age. So coming into that room was not the easiest for me, not the easiest transition. And you know, as you said, younger players kind of get pushed to the side more nowadays. It seems like some coaches would prefer to take experience on the portal rather than develop their own guys. And
Mhm.
um,
'Cause they just leave, a lot of times.
for sure. And unfortunately, that was kind of the case with Tennessee. My redshirt freshman year this past year, I was third string behind two sixth-year seniors. You know,
No win situation.
no, it was a hard situation, and even whenever I felt like I was doing better than one of the sixth-year seniors, I wasn't ever really thrust in that spot, whether it be because of their loyalty to that guy or more experience on his part. I'm not really sure, but there wasn't a lot of room for uh, starting ability. And then this coming year, they brought in two guys from the portal, one from Notre Dame, one from Arizona. Great guys, became great friends with me, and it was a great battle through the spring. But at the end, yeah, the portal, they kind of seemed to prioritize the portal guys.
Interesting, man. I appreciate the honesty there. Yeah, I could see why that would be a frustrating situation to be in, especially as a younger player. So, you moved on. Obviously, you chose to enter the transfer portal. After entering the transfer portal on April 22nd, what stood out about West Virginia's program and Coach Rich Rodriguez's vision, that made you want to come visit and all that before you even committed?
Well, I partnered with an agent once I got into the portal. Great
Right.
guy out here in Nashville. Love him. His name's Kevin, and he kind of informed me on the background of West Virginia and who Rich Rod was and who the offensive line coach was. Coach Jack Bicknell come in.
Mhm.
Uh, 7 years in the NFL, 40 years of coaching experience. He was a head coach for over a decade. Tons of guys in the league, and he has tons of connections to the league. So, that obviously piqued my interest, and obviously what Coach Rodriguez had done here in the past was super important to me as well. He had brought a winning culture and kind of stoked a fire underneath the West Virginia fan base whenever he was here. So him coming back was a big thing for me, just to be able to play underneath him, and also his coaching style and his playing style. Nose on the grindstone, keep your head down, and be aggressive, and really just try to go out there and, for lack of better words, beat the shit out of the team that's on the other side. That's kind of
Absolutely.
what I liked.
Let's go to a quick break, guys. On the other side of the break, we're going to ask him a few more questions. What does he expect out of himself while he's at West Virginia? What's he going to project himself into? A lot more to get to, guys. Stick around. Thanks to Aiden Bussell for coming on. We'll be right back here on Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia, guys, is going to be brought to you by none other than Monarch Money. We like talking about Monarch Money around here, of course, because as we all know, I don't manage my money well. And sometimes I look at my bank account and think, where did all that money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. So you can track all your accounts, investments, spending in one place, so you can stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com/LockedOnCollege for half off your very first year. It's segment 2. Let's crack a do and talk a little bit more. This is my thing. This is like what makes me, I don't know.
I love it.
We crack a do in segment 2, man, and we talk about the next topic at hand. That's pretty much it. So obviously, guys, we had another commitment today. We'll probably get to that on another episode. We're going to interview Aiden here. Maybe mention him at the end of the show. Funnily enough, though, Elijah Simmons, when I looked him up at first, I was like, did we get 2 Tennessee transfers today? Because like this, I was thinking, holy shit, like this dude's a monster. The defensive lineman from Tennessee. Did you go up against him?
I did, yeah. Elijah he's a total dog, just a tank of a human guy.
Yeah, man. So turned out to be a JUCO kid that just shares the same name. But I was like, oh man, we landed 2 balls. Like it was just weird how that worked out. It'd be different if he wasn't from Tennessee, but like, you know, I knew because we had talked that you were going to commit, but I didn't know about, you know, him. Like that one came out of left field. So I just like threw me off for a second. So a couple other things here, man. You know, you'd mentioned, did they talk to you about Hard Edge, by the way? I'm just curious because everybody I've spoken to so far, I've gotten mostly yeses and a couple no's.
Kind of, not really. It was more. I mean, I came in on a short-term notice, so it was more about meeting everybody and seeing the facilities and talking about their team.
I'm glad you mentioned that. How does West Virginia's facility hold up to places you've been? Because obviously Tennessee has got it. I looked at it. It's extremely awesome facility.
Honestly, I was really, really surprised.
That's what we get a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to put it into a position ranking, it would easily be in the top 5 of places that I've been. I even say that it's nicer than Tennessee's facilities because the building that we're in is a little bit older. The equipment we have is nice, but everything is brand new. It is 10 out of 10 on all fronts: weight room, training facility, indoor practice field. It was awesome.
They got the recovery. They got the red light therapy. They've got literally everything you could want. You want to jump in some bath salt? It's wild.
That was another thing that they had that Tennessee did. Surprisingly enough, they had more things than Tennessee, who's an SEC school, which really, really surprised me.
West Virginia is extremely committed to winning. It just hasn't worked in the last 6 years because we had you hire the wrong coach, it can set you back. And although we all love Neil Brown and what he stood for, unfortunately not the right fit, right? And in West Virginia, you got to have a guy that's kind of a badass. And that's what Rich Rodriguez is. He's a badass. He lives it. He gets described as intense. I'm curious, did that intensity come off of him as you met him?
Certainly. I mean,
it's super intense dude.
Him as a person, outside of football, he is all about ball. He lives, breathes.
Is there outside of football? I didn't know.
For sure. And, that intensity was, dumbed back a little bit, but I can still tell, he was different than other coaches that I've met just because of his passion for the game.
That's interesting, man. He does have that. And he went on that Josh Pate show earlier this week, and he was talking about how he can't, it's just the way he's wired. He's obsessed over the next rep, over that next rep. And even though it sounds cliche, he truly does live that. And it's an interesting dynamic that makes him uniquely who he is. So obviously your current role at West Virginia, we talked a little bit off camera. You know, you're one of 6 line transfers in a 22-man room at West Virginia. How does the chemistry developing? You know, you got a mix of veterans, newcomers. What's it going to be like competing for a spot in such a deep group, dude?
Well, I mean, for me, just personally coming in, my mindset is completely take over. I want
I
to be
love
the
it.
dude. I want to be the dude. I want to be a leader in that line room, and most importantly, I want to show it on the field. I've kind of taken a back seat these past 2 years, and I've been able to fully show exactly what I'm about and who I am. And I think, going into my third year here, it's going to be game on, and people are really going to realize who Ayden Bussell is. As far as what the coaches were saying whenever recruiting me, I was their guy. That's just to put it bluntly. They were like, "You're our guy. We see you coming in and making a day one impact." They think that, they think the world of me, which has really been awesome coming from that staff. Their support they've showed me, and you know, the things that we've talked about in this short amount of time that I've gotten to know them has been um, just unbelievable. And I'm really thankful that they've allowed me to come in here and, have that opportunity.
I love that, man. I'm glad you got it. You know, it seems like you really worked for it and deserve it. And look, you're exactly what we talk about. How sometimes players develop and get snatched by better programs. Sometimes players developed and because of you know the portal being such a I don't know how I would phrase it. I guess it's like instant gratification. Yeah, I could put this unproven player in that I've developed, or I could go get this guy here that I know has already played a bunch of snaps. So a lot of times, a guy that probably in the most cases before the portal, you'd probably be starting this upcoming year. Now you're in a situation where West Virginia gets your talents, and we get a chance to see exactly what Tennessee is missing out on. I think it's an interesting dynamic that only the portal could bring, and it's going to be super interesting to see exactly what um, that's going to look like for you because it sounds like you got a chip on your shoulder, and I love to hear that, man, for sure.
For sure. And if you want to know what type of player you're going to get in me, um, I'm not a rah rah guy. I'm not a big, I'm not trying to fire everybody up and, you know, just speak it. I want to do it.
Yeah,
Very much nose on the grindstone type of guy, aggressive. I don't take shit from nobody. And I feel like that's kind of what this program needs in an offensive lineman. And I'm ready to go out there and do it right now.
absolutely,
I'm
man.
excited.
You got time for a couple more questions? We'll go to break one more time.
Sure.
All right, guys, let's go to break. We'll come back. We got a few more questions for Aiden. Still want to project in the future a little bit more. I got a few questions that I wrote down before we jumped on here, guys. So stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by, what are we on? Supply House, guys. That's right. We're talking about Supply House today. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you're going to find what you need and you're going to get it delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support, industry leading service, so you always talk to a real person. If you're looking for trade pros looking for an extra edge or a hard edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. Start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code S-H-5 for 5% off your first order. Do it now. Do it today at supplyhouse.com. And we're back here with West Virginia's newest offensive line commit, Tennessee transfer, Ayden Bussell. Dude, appreciate you for jumping on here. It was very much short notice. So you played right guard when you're at Tennessee, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you cross train? Did they have you play on the edge any, or was it all interior?
It was pretty much all interior. What they're looking for out there at Tennessee is those big 6'7", 6'8" dudes.
A lot of length. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
and
makes sense.
I didn't really get the chance to go out there. I would have, but they typically put me at left and right guard.
And as West Virginia, what are they going to work you at? Are they going to work on the edge or just keep you interior?
They said that I was really going to be put at both. They said that depending on how it plays out, if I'm the best tackle, then I'll be playing tackle. If I'm the best guard, if I'm more suited for guard, they're going to put me at guard.
And I think, obviously Josh Heupel runs in a really fast up tempo system. So you're used to that. Do you think that gives you a little bit of an edge because you played in that for a few years over some of these other guys that are going to come in, and although you may not know the X's and O's, the tempo is something you already know.
For sure. And, that's another blessing on my end is that I have, dealt with that for the past 2 years. And it was preached religiously in Tennessee to, go, get set, get on the line. And, it takes some time to be able to understand the X's and O's alongside with the tempo.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think that, me having that experience will definitely give me a little bit of an edge on some of these other guys.
For sure. Absolutely. And why wouldn't it? Like I won't mention any names, but I talked to an offensive line coach about one of our transfers that said that was probably his biggest issue was, where he'd come from before was you get in a huddle, you talk about the play, you got time to think about what you're going to do, where you're going to go. Maybe you get to see the front a little bit, and not in these systems. It's literally you just you line up, and I don't know exactly. A lot of times, I think the center makes the call and then you go right. So
Yeah,
it can be difficult, man.
for
So
sure.
I want to ask you a question. With 3 years left of eligibility, what's your vision for your role in this team? And you kind of already answered that, but like, where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? Do you project out like that, or do you just one day at a time kind of person?
Typically I take it one day at a time, but I do like to envision myself in 3 years coming out of here, um, you know, all Big 12 conference and, being one of the leaders on the line. You know, what me and the coaches have talked about, they've given me full faith that they have a lot of faith in me to become that dude and become who I envisioned myself being whenever I came into college. So um, just looking a little bit down the field, down a couple of years from here, it's just becoming a great offensive lineman, great teammate, and hopefully a legend, in the Mountaineer program.
That would be awesome, man. And unfortunately, we don't get those as often as we used to because of the portal. So you seem like a loyal kind of guy. Not that I mean, I would never fault anybody, just generally though, like obviously if somebody comes at you $2 million, you got to consider it. So that's just the way it works, but generally speaking, I think West Virginia, one thing we're lucky is Rich Rod has been given the opportunity to financially to compete, and especially in our Big 12 climate. So we're lucky there, and you look around the coaching staff and the quality of coaches he's able to hire at the Big 12 in a Big 12 program is something we're excited about, man. So I'm really excited about you as a pickup, dude. Looking at even though it's only 62 snaps, you graded out on PFF above average, and you allowed no sacks yet again. Does that mean is pass protection your specialty, or are you more of a run blocker? I mean, what are you better at?
I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty well-rounded guy. Everybody has their things that need to work on, but I feel like I do really well in the pass pro game. Um, I feel like I've got really good feet, quick
Mm,
reactions off the ball, and also just when things move and everything's a little crazy, kind of finding a little calm in that storm, being able to just think and move and feel it out is kind of something that I really thrive in. With the run block game, inside zone is a lot of the stuff that we ran at Tennessee.
mhm.
I kind of thrived in that more so this spring, just with added weight. I was playing about 320 all spring, so the inside zone was really good. But my niche with you know run game is kind of outside zone. I really kind of thrive there. Getting on the edge and being able to work up to the second level is something that I pride my game in. And if you watch my film from this past spring or even from high school, you can kind of tell that.
Do you have a clip up of your tape? Because I need
Sure.
that. Okay,
Yeah,
awesome, dude. I live in the film room, so
yeah.
I love
I
it.
have film from this past spring. It's all from this past spring. Um, I had a I had a pretty good spring, I would say, and that's kind of what allowed me to see through a little more down the future to be like, well, if Tennessee's not going to let me get it done, then I know that I can do it somewhere else.
They must have some good players if you couldn't get it done at Tennessee, man. Which I
Well,
mean, I know they've got a big budget, so they probably bought a lot too.
yeah, I mean, this is, no knocks to my boys. These are my guys, my best friends back in Knoxville. But, more in that program, it seems like they value a lot of transfer guys. If you look at the past lines that Tennessee's had, uh, unfortunately, they're majority transfer guys. And, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. So it just was the best thing for me.
Yeah, I understand, man. Listen, it is at the end of the day a business world for that right now. So, dude, I appreciate you for coming on. This has been a whirlwind. I wasn't expecting to get another SEC offensive lineman. If you paid attention, you're the fourth one, the fourth
Really?
SEC transfer to come in that room now with Ogba from Texas. You got Tykes Crawford, who was in Arkansas. You got yourself, and somebody help me. There's one more. There's one more. We got a comment down here that I want to get to. I typically don't do comments because I'm not supposed to, but since this is an interview, I think it's a little different. I'm gonna.
Mhm.
Do you care if I bring up a couple comments from the fans?
Completely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Eric said something. I think it was, yeah. He said I took a course in Mount Juliet a few weeks ago. I think it was the cleanest town I've ever seen. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. We have they pride themselves on keeping this place clean and safe. And honestly, it's not a huge town.
Yeah.
Um, it's grown a lot over these past years, but I will say this: we have more cops per capita than I've ever seen. Just like
Oh no.
I know it's kind of crazy, but Mount Juliet's it's a really nice place to live and just grow up.
This guy said you look like a Mountaineer guy. You do. And to be fair, he was played at Tennessee. It's not too far off anyway.
Hmm. For
So
sure. And I grew up kind of more countryside. Grew up in a town
I
called
can tell.
Gladeville. Yeah, grew up in a town called Gladeville. My family's got a farm hour south of Nashville. We got cattle on there, so the blue collar mentality and the blue collar people I can very much relate to. And I pride myself on being a little bit of a more country guy.
Eric said, when I was at WVU, Tennessee football budget in 91 was like 6 times our whole athletic budget. Yeah. It's definitely times have changed. West Virginia's caught up in some ways for sure. We got Tim Racy saying, welcome Aiden to the Mountaineers. Appreciate that, Tim.
Thank you.
Smack the Devil, which is one of my favorite names of anybody that comes on here. Great show, Paul. Welcome Aiden to Mountaineer Nation. We've got several hundred people watching on X as well, which I can't see all their comments for some reason right now. But that's funny. Let's go Mountaineers. Uh, I think you just answered that. Where was you raised at? Which is Falco Gladeville, you said. Yeah, man. So I appreciate you for jumping on. When do you show back up to Morgantown? When is your due date to come back in?
We're all due back May 28th, but
May
I'll be moving
28th.
up. I'm gonna get a house up there, so I'll be moving up probably a week or so early.
Okay. You're gonna get a house. Nice, man. That's
Yeah,
that's
not
pretty
not
good.
not buying a house. I don't. I'm not that financially set up,
Not
but
yet. Not yet.
no, no, no,
You're
no.
you'll get there. It's like
Hopefully,
my favorite acronym is yet. You're eligible too. It's not your
sure,
time yet. So I like it. You know what, man? If things work out like we're thinking here, next year they're going to have to pay you, right? So
sure,
which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. That
sure.
means you did your job, man. YouTube didn't notify you. That sucks, Raven. I'm sorry to hear that. A lot of people really excited about you, man. Oh, and look, West Virginia is a place where we've got an incredible offensive line history, especially recently. Zach Frazier may have been the best rookie offensive lineman in football last year in the NFL.
Mm,
Obviously, in my opinion, should have won the Remington. Dan Moses under Rich Rodriguez won the Remington Award. You can look at Wyatt Milam, who was just drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars, didn't allow a sack in his entire career on the left side of the offensive line for West Virginia over 4 years, which is incredible. So, there's a tradition to walk into, and there are some guys in that room left over, Landon Livingston, Nick Gray, who are still kind of carrying that torch from those really good players. So I think you're walking into a really good situation from just how what's left from what was really good. Those guys, I think, still have some of that too that you can walk into and mesh with, So I'm looking forward to that. Who all did you get to meet? That's real quick before we jump off here.
Sorry, we say that again?
Did you get to meet players as well, or?
I did. I only met a few guys. Scotty, freshman quarterback.
Okay, Fox. Yep.
But he was my host on my OV.
Okay, cool.
A lot of the guys, unfortunately, when I got there, were out of town just because they had done their exams and everything. That's kind of the thing with the portal. Everything's it's like speed dating. You kind of just go into it and everything moves really fast. So
last couple questions here. Was West Virginia your only visit?
No, sir. I visited USF the week before. That's where Alex Golish is, our previous offensive coordinator.
He's been doing it big this offseason. He's had a big offseason over there.
He has, and that was a great time. And those are my people. I've known them since high school. A lot of that staff came from Tennessee, and it wasn't anything against them. I love those guys and respect them, and I think they're going to have a great season next year. It's just what was best for me was here.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. I think Rich Rod's setting this program up for future success again. And man, if it's anything like it was the first time around, it's going to be really damn good.
For sure.
So, did you get a chance to see the history what he did first time around and all that, or did you already know?
I didn't know. I really, coming in, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about West Virginia. I knew they were Big 12. I knew they were historically very winning school, and I'd learned that they were number one winningest in Big 12 history, which was awesome. And that was obviously a factor for me, but I really didn't know.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all for joining in for this one. Hit the like button before you run off. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We'll always get guys like this on every now and then, especially might have kicked him off of here. I'm not sure what happened, but are you there, Aiden? Are you there? Looks like we might have lost Aiden off the stream, which is fine. Appreciate Aiden for coming on here. I do want to make mention. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Hey, sorry, somebody called.
It's all right, man. We're about to be done anyways. Want to wish you the best, man. I'll definitely keep in touch with you. Good luck when you come down here in May, and we're rooting for you, bro. You got a lot of people behind you. Anytime you need anything or you need, want to know something about Morgantown, we can definitely help you there. Make sure you eat a pepperoni roll.
I got you. Yeah, no, that was one thing that they talked about, the pepperoni rolls from Sheets, I think.
Yeah.
We were talking about that.
It's funny.
But no,
all right, man.
I greatly appreciate you having me on, and I just wanted to thank you and everybody watching, and just I'm ready to get to work.
That sounds like a plan to me, brother. Tudors as well. That's right, Raven. If you haven't tried Tudors Biscuit World yet, that's another one. It's really West Virginia centric. It runs into Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, but like it's known in West Virginia. So
for sure,
big biscuit, big biscuits the size of your head. If you like biscuits and gravy,
that's all. Yeah. That's all about me, man. I love that.
All right, man. Aiden, appreciate you for coming on, dude. We'll definitely keep in touch, man. And guys, we'll really quick, just on the other commitment. We'll run over this really quick while Aiden's on here. That way we can just run through it, and then I'll cover it more extensively tomorrow. But Elijah Simmons, a defensive lineman who plays the 3 technique from what I can see on my tape study, comes in. He's from North Carolina. But he was started at Kent State, had to go to the community college route, and then had that breakout year this past year. 21 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, and a sack at Garden City. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. He's got some upside. He's 6'2", 280, and he can move laterally. He's not your typical 6'2", 280 guy. So I think he's definitely going to be a 3 technique here as well. And maybe he and Aiden will get to square off each other a little bit, against each other a little bit. He's got a great motor. But yeah, we'll definitely cover him a little bit more tomorrow, guys. Definitely did get another commitment. But, anytime I've got a chance to interview somebody, I do it. So, guys, we're going to end it there. We're already a little bit over. So, when I get to meet players, man, sometimes I get to jab in my jaws, Aiden.
All good, man. I like talking too. So,
Yeah. Anything you want to say to Mountaineer Nation before we jump off?
just want to thank y'all for welcoming me with open arms, and I'm ready to work. I'm ready to put my blood, sweat, and tears into this program to fight for y'all, and bring this program back to what it was before and even more.
Awesome, man. And even more would be, I'd probably pass out if that happened.
So, hey, I think we're gonna do it.
Tommy Stull said, I like this guy. Stick around and be a legend, my dude.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Appreciate you for joining in. Aiden is a Mountaineer. Appreciate him for jumping on here. It's been fun. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We've done 3 or 4 videos today. I think that's enough for one day. And I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. See you tomorrow.